Tunisia, March 19th, 1943. Dawn breaks over the Kasserine Pass with a sound that makes every American soldier's blood run cold. The high-pitched scream of diving Stukas, Ju-87 dive bombers, their sirens wailing like mechanical banshees, peeling off from formation at 3,000 meters. Staff Sergeant Frank Kowalski of the 701st Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion stands behind 4 Browning M2 machine guns mounted on a half-track. His hands grip the firing handles. Around him, the desert erupts in explosions. Dust, shrapnel, screams. The Stukas come in steep, almost vertical. Their bombs already released. Kowalski doesn't aim at where the aircraft is. He aims at where it will be in 2 seconds. His thumbs press down. All 4 50s open up simultaneously. The sound is not like individual gunfire. It's a continuous roar, a wall of noise that physically pushes against your chest. 2,000 rounds per minute. Tracers arc upward, forming a cone of fire so dense it looks solid. The lead Stuka pulls out of its dive at 400 meters. Too late. The stream of half-inch bullets walks across its left wing, tearing through aluminum like paper. The wing shears off. The aircraft tumbles sideways, corkscrews into the sand half a kilometer away. Black smoke rises. No parachute. Kowalski doesn't stop firing. The next Stuka is already diving. He swings the mount, tracks the target, leads it by 3 aircraft lengths, fires again. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the story, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments from where in the world you are watching from today. This half-track, officially designated the M16 multiple gun motor carriage, would earn a reputation so fearsome that German pilots called it the Rollende Tod, rolling death. Luftwaffe intelligence reports would classify it as a priority target to be destroyed on site before engaging any other ground units. And by the end of the war in Europe, crews operating these vehicles would be credited with shooting down or severely damaging over 200 German aircraft in confirmed kills alone. The actual number was almost certainly higher. This is the story of a weapon that terrified the Luftwaffe, a makeshift solution that became one of the most effective mobile anti-aircraft platforms of the entire war. And like so many effective weapons in World War II, it was born not from careful planning, but from desperate improvisation under fire. The year is 1941. Europe has fallen. Britain stands alone. America watches from across the Atlantic, officially neutral but increasingly involved. The United States Army knows war is coming. The question is not if, but when. And the Army has a problem it cannot solve: German air superiority. In Poland, France, the Low Countries, the Balkans, the pattern is always the same. The Luftwaffe arrives first, establishes control of the skies, and then the Wehrmacht rolls forward, almost unopposed. American military observers in Britain watch the Blitz unfold. They see what happens when an army lacks effective anti-aircraft defense. They see cities burning. They see convoys shredded. They see the terrible calculus of modern war. Whoever controls the air controls the battlefield. The United States Army has anti-aircraft guns. The 90mm M1, a massive weapon capable of reaching high-altitude bombers. The 40mm Bofors, excellent against medium-altitude targets. The 37mm M1, adequate for low-level defense. But all of these weapons share one critical weakness. They are static. They must be towed into position, emplaced, dug in. This takes time, hours sometimes, and modern warfare, as the Germans have proven again and again, does not allow hours. A panzer division moves 30 kilometers in a day. Dive bombers can respond to ground targets in minutes. Static defenses, no matter how powerful, are simply too slow. What the Army needs is mobile anti-aircraft defense, guns that can move with the infantry and armor, guns that can be firing within seconds of stopping, guns that don't require extensive emplacement. The problem is no such system exists in the American arsenal. The Ordnance Department begins working on solutions. Multiple designs are proposed. Some use tracked chassis, others use wheeled vehicles. Some mount single large-caliber guns, others propose multiple smaller weapons. The debates drag on through 1941 and into 1942. Engineers argue about calibers, traverse rates, armor thickness, crew configuration. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, American soldiers are about to enter combat without effective mobile air defense, and they will pay for that gap in blood. North Africa, November 8th, 1942. Operation Torch. American forces land in Morocco and Algeria. Their objective is to secure North Africa, trap Rommel's Africa Corps between British forces advancing from the east and American forces pressing from the west. On paper, the plan is sound. In practice, the American army is about to receive a brutal education in modern warfare. The Luftwaffe responds immediately. Junkers, Ju-88s, the workhorses of German air power. Messerschmitt Bf-110 fighters, converted to fighter bombers. And the Stukas, the infamous Ju-87s, with their screaming sirens and near-vertical dive attacks. These aircraft attack American columns with impunity. Convoys stalled on narrow desert roads become perfect targets. Supply dumps, artillery positions, command posts. The Luftwaffe finds them all. American anti-aircraft guns shoot back. The 90mm engage high-altitude bombers. With some success, the 40mm catch a few medium-altitude attackers. But the low-level threats, the Stukas and fighter bombers that come in fast and low, prove nearly impossible to hit with conventional anti-aircraft artillery. The problem is reaction time. A Stuka diving at 450 kilometers per hour covers the distance from 3,000 meters to release altitude in about 20 seconds. In that time, a towed anti-aircraft gun must be identified as a target. The gun must be traversed, elevated, the range estimated, and the shot taken. Most crews never get past step 2. Lieutenant James Murphy, commanding a platoon of 37mm guns near Oran, describes the problem in his after-action report dated November 15, 1942. By the time we acquire the target and begin tracking, the Stuka has already released and is pulling out. We are shooting at empty air while bombs are falling on our heads. We need something faster. What he needs, though he doesn't know it yet, is already being improvised in the field by soldiers who refuse to die, waiting for the Ordnance Department to deliver a solution. Some units mount 50-caliber Browning machine guns on the beds of trucks. The guns are designed for ground use, but they can elevate high enough to engage aircraft, and their rate of fire, 550 rounds per minute per gun, makes up for the lack of precision. The results are mixed. A single 50-caliber lacks the firepower to reliably down an aircraft. Most hits just punch holes in non-critical areas. The pilot keeps flying. But the concept is sound. Multiple 50s firing simultaneously create a cone of fire dense enough that even near misses force pilots to break off their attacks. The idea spreads. More units begin mounting 50s on trucks. Some use pairs of guns, others try 3. And then, in December 1942, a maintenance sergeant in the 2nd Armored Division has an idea that will change anti-aircraft warfare for the rest of the war. His name is Technical Sergeant William Becker. He will never receive official credit for what he invents, but thousands of American soldiers will owe him their lives. Sergeant Becker looks at a problem everyone else accepts as unsolvable. The M3 half-track, the workhorse of American mechanized infantry, has an open rear compartment. Most half-tracks mount a single 50 caliber for local defense against ground targets. But the mount is flimsy. The gun can barely elevate high enough for anti-aircraft work. And one gun isn't enough. Anyway, Becker studies a Maxson M45 quadmount, a system designed for static emplacement that holds 4 50 caliber Brownings in a unified frame. The mount weighs over 2,000 kilograms. The half-track's rear compartment can handle the weight, barely. But no one has tried to actually install one on a moving vehicle. The vibration would be tremendous. The structural stress could crack the vehicle's frame, and even if it works, aiming a 2-ton mount from a moving vehicle seems impossible. Becker decides to try anyway. He doesn't ask for permission because he knows the answer will be no. Using a maintenance crane, a welding torch, and a great deal of Improvisation. Becker and his crew spend 3 days mounting a Maxson quad mount in the bed of an M3 half-track. They reinforce the floor with steel plates salvaged from a destroyed German tank. They weld support brackets to the vehicle's frame. They reroute ammunition feeds. And on December 19th, 1942, they take their creation out for a test. The half-track drives across the rough desert terrain. The mount shakes. The frame groans, but nothing breaks. Becker climbs into the gunner's seat. The traverse handle turns smoothly. The elevation gear works. He loads 4 belts of 50 caliber ammunition, 250 rounds per gun, 1,000 rounds, ready to fire. The next day, the Luftwaffe provides a live fire test. A formation of Ju-88s appears at medium altitude, heading for the division's supply depot. Becker's half-track is parked 300 meters from the target. He doesn't wait for orders. He swings the quad mount toward the approaching aircraft, estimates range at 1,500 meters, elevation at 45 degrees, and opens fire. 4 streams of tracers arc upward. The sound is extraordinary, not the rhythmic thump of a single machine gun, but a continuous bellow, like a giant tearing sheet metal. The lead, Ju-88 banks, hard left, too slow. Traces as walk across its fuselage. Hits sparkle along the wing route, smoke trails from the starboard engine. The aircraft breaks formation, loses altitude, trails a ribbon of black smoke as it limps toward German lines. The other Ju-88s scatter, abort their bombing run, turn back without dropping ordnance. Becker stops firing. His ears ring. The barrels glow red-hot. Around him, soldiers stare. Not at the aircraft, which is already disappearing over the horizon. At the half-track, at what it just did, a captain runs over. "Sergeant, what the hell is that?" "Mobile anti-aircraft platform, sir. Built it myself." The captain looks at the smoking quad mount, at the reinforced mounting, at Becker's grinning face. "Can you make more?" "Yes, sir, if I can get the parts." By January 1943, Becker's maintenance platoon has converted 6 half-tracks. By February, the number reaches 20. Word spreads through the division. Then to other divisions. Officers who see the system in action immediately understand its value. They send requests up the chain of command. The Ordnance Department, finally realizing what the field has invented, begins formal production. The official designation is M16 multiple gun motor carriage. The design is barely modified from Becker's improvisation. An M3 half-track chassis, a Maxson M45 quad mount holding 4 Browning M2 50 caliber machine guns, total weight 9,000 kilograms, crew of 7, driver, commander, 4 gunners, ammunition handler, maximum road speed 72 kilometers per hour, maximum rate of fire per gun 550 rounds per minute, combined rate of fire 2,200 rounds per minute. Armor protection is minimal. The half-track's front plate is only 13 millimeters thick, barely enough to stop small arms fire. The sides are half that. The top is completely open. The crew is exposed to air attack, artillery, everything. But the M16 is not designed to survive hits. It's designed to ensure the enemy never gets a chance to shoot. The first production M16s reached North Africa in March 1943, just in time for the final phase of the Tunisia campaign. Tunisia, March 23rd, 1943. The Battle of El Gueta. Patton's Second Corps is pushing east, trying to break through German defensive lines. Rommel's forces are trapped between the Americans and Montgomery's 8th Army advancing from the east. The Germans know they are losing North Africa. They fight with the desperation of men who understand retreat means capture or death. The Luftwaffe commits everything it has left, every operational aircraft, every pilot still capable of flying. Wave after wave of attacks on American positions, Stukas diving on artillery batteries, Messerschmitts strafing supply columns, Ju-88s bombing command posts. The sky over El Gueta becomes a killing field. And, for the first time, the M16s are there in numbers. 12 vehicles of the 443rd Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion, positioned in a defensive arc around the 2nd Armored Division's forward assembly area. Staff Sergeant Kowalski commands one of them. He has been fighting in North Africa since the torch landings. He has seen what German aircraft can do to unprotected ground forces. He has pulled wounded men from burning vehicles. He has counted bodies after Stuka attacks. And now, finally, he has a weapon that can fight back effectively. The morning starts quietly, too quietly. Kowalski knows what that means. The Luftwaffe is forming up, preparing a major strike. He checks his ammunition. Each gun has a 250-round belt, loaded. Reserve belts stacked within arm's reach. A total ammunition on the vehicle, 5,000 rounds. Enough for about 2 minutes of continuous fire if they don't overheat the barrels. At 08:15 hours, radar picks up a large formation approaching from the northwest. Altitude 3,000 meters, speed 400 kilometers per hour, estimated 20 to 30 aircraft. The word passes down the line. Stukas. Lots of them. Kowalski's crew tenses. His loader, Private Eddie Sanchez from Texas, mutters a prayer in Spanish. The driver, Corporal Bill Hayes, revs the engine unnecessarily. Nervous energy. Kowalski scans the sky. Clear, pale blue. Not a cloud. Perfect conditions for dive bombing. The worst possible weather for ground forces. Then he sees them. Dark specks against the northern horizon. Growing larger. The distinctive gull-wing silhouette of the Ju-87. The formation breaks. Individual aircraft peel off, begin their dives. The sirens start. That terrible screaming wail designed to paralyze men with fear. Kowalski picks his target. A Stuka, diving at a steep angle, maybe 70 degrees, heading for the artillery positions 200 meters to his left. Range 2,000 meters and closing fast. He centers the gun sight, leads the target by what feels right, not calculations, just instinct born from watching aircraft move through the sky. His thumbs find the firing buttons. He presses down. The quad mount erupts. 4 streams of tracers, every 5th round a tracer, so he can see where the bullets go. The rest, invisible, filling the space between the visible lines. The cone of fire reaches upward. At first it seems to miss. The tracers pass behind the diving Stuka. But Kowalski anticipated that. He's not shooting at where the aircraft is, he's shooting at where it's going to be. The Stuka flies into the stream. Hits sparkle across the cockpit. The glass canopy shatters. More hits along the engine cowling. The propeller flies apart, pieces tumbling through the air like strange metal leaves. The Stuka's dive angle steepens. Not a controlled dive anymore, a dead fall. The bomb releases early, tumbles wildly, explodes in empty desert 500 meters from any target. The aircraft impacts the ground 3 seconds later. A ball of orange fire, black smoke rising. Kowalski doesn't watch. Already swinging the mount to the next target, a Stuka pulling out of its dive, having released its bomb. Vulnerable. Slow. He leads it. Vizus. The tracers chase the aircraft across the sky. Connect. The Stuka's tail section tears away. The aircraft goes into a flat spin, crashes a kilometer away. 2 kills in 30 seconds. Around him, the other M16s are firing. The noise is overwhelming. Not individual guns anymore. A continuous roar like standing next to a waterfall of lead. The sky fills with tracers. A dome of fire over the American positions. Stukas dive through it. Some make it. Most don't. One aircraft loses a wing, tumbles sideways, another catches fire, the pilot bailing out, parachute opening just before the wreckage hits the ground. A third takes hits in the fuel tank, explodes in mid-air, raining debris. The attack lasts 7 minutes. When it's over, 14 Stukas are down, wreckage scattered across 10 square kilometers of desert. Another 6 limp away, trailing smoke, too damaged to return to combat. The American positions have taken hits, some vehicles destroyed, men killed, but the damage is far less than it would have been without the M16s, far less than the Luftwaffe expected to inflict. Kowalski's barrels are glowing cherry red. The heat shimmer above them distorts the air. His ammunition handler, Private Sanchez, is already loading fresh belts. 500 rounds expended, 10% of their total load. Kowalski's hands shake, not from fear, from adrenaline. He looks at his crew. They're grinning. Wild, fierce grins. The grins of men who just won a fight they expected to lose. The battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hastings, drives up in a jeep. He climbs out, walks to Kowalski's half-track. looks at the smoking barrels, the empty shell casings piled ankle-deep around the vehicle. "Sergeant, how many?" "Two confirmed, sir. Maybe a third assist. Hard to say when everyone's firing." Hastings nods. He's seen the wreckage. He knows the numbers. "Good work. Reload and stay alert. They'll be back." He's right. The Luftwaffe returns at noon. Different tactic this time. Low-level attack. Bf-110 fighter bombers coming in fast, 50 meters off the deck, trying to get under the radar coverage. But the M16s don't need radar for low-level targets. The crews see them coming. Dust clouds on the horizon. The distinctive sound of Daimler-Benz engines at full throttle. The M16s open fire at 1,500 meters. Maximum effective range for the .50 caliber against aircraft. The fighter bombers fly into a wall of lead. Tracers crisscross the sky like a deadly spiderweb. The lead, Bf-110, takes hits, engine smoking, pulls up hard, tries to gain altitude, doesn't make it, crashes into a rocky hillside, fireball, visible 4 kilometers. The rest of the formation scatters, jettisons their bombs early, turns away, runs for safety. A few try to press the attack, they die. The M16s track them, lead them, shred them. By the time the attack is over, 5 more German aircraft are down, 0 American losses. That night, the crews sit around their vehicles, cleaning guns, reloading ammunition, talking quietly about what they saw. One gunner, Private First Class Tommy O'Brien, from Boston, says what they're all thinking. "Those German pilots, they're brave sons of bitches. Coming back, after what we did to them this morning." Kowalski nods. "Brave and desperate. They know they're losing. They're throwing everything they have at us because there's nothing else they can do." "You think they'll try again tomorrow?" "Count on it." They do. For the next 6 days, the Luftwaffe attacks the American positions at El Gueta. Every day, fewer aircraft. Every day, more wrecks in the desert. By March 30th, the German air attacks have effectively ceased. Not because they don't want to attack, because they don't have enough operational aircraft left. The 443rd Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion's official tally for the El Gueta engagement: 37 confirmed kills, 61 probable kills or severe damage, against 0 M16s lost to air attack. The German High Command takes notice. Luftwaffe intelligence officers interview surviving pilots. The reports paint a clear picture. The Americans have deployed a new anti-aircraft system, mobile, extremely effective at low to medium altitude, high rate of fire. Pilots describe it as a wall of fire, impossible to penetrate, certain death. A Luftwaffe intelligence summary dated April 8, 1943, classifies the M16 as a Sonderziel, a priority target. The document, captured after the war and now in the National Archives, states, "The American quadruple machine gun mount on tracked chassis represents a significant threat to our tactical air operations. Pilots are ordered to identify and destroy these vehicles before engaging other targets. If elimination is not possible, attacks should be aborted and alternative targets selected." In other words, the Luftwaffe is now more afraid of the M16 than they are eager to attack American ground forces. This is exactly the psychological effect the Army wanted, but it creates a new problem. The M16 crews are now priority targets. Every German pilot who sees one tries to kill it first, and the M16, with its open top and minimal armor, is extremely vulnerable. Sicily. July 10th, 1943. Operation Husky. Allied invasion of Sicily. The largest amphibious operation yet attempted, larger than Torch, a prelude to the invasion of Italy itself. American forces land on the southern coast. British and Canadian forces take the east. The objective is to secure the island, knock Italy out of the war, open the Mediterranean to Allied shipping. The M16s land with the first wave. 32 vehicles assigned to various anti-aircraft battalions supporting the 7th Army. They drive off the landing craft directly into combat. The Luftwaffe responds with everything available: Stukas, fighter bombers, even a few of the newer Focke-Wulf W190s. The air battles over the beaches are ferocious, But the M16s are ready. Corporal James Mitchell, gunner on an M16 of the 607th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion, describes the landing in a letter home dated July 18th. We rolled off the ship into 3 feet of water, drove up the beach with German planes diving on us. I don't think we stopped moving for 6 hours, just drove, stopped, shot, drove again. Shot down 2 confirmed, maybe 3, the lost count of how many we scared off. The mobility of the M16 proves decisive. Unlike static anti-aircraft guns that must be in place, the M16s can displace constantly, shoot and move and shoot. German pilots learn that attacking an M16 is suicide. But if they ignore the M16s, the half-tracks protect everything else. It's an impossible tactical situation, and it breaks the Luftwaffe's effectiveness. By July 17th, 1 week into the invasion, Luftwaffe sorties over Sicily have dropped by 60%, not because they lack aircraft, though losses are heavy, because pilots refuse missions. They know what waits for them. The rolling death, the Rollender Todd, a captured Luftwaffe pilot, Lieutenant Hans Schäfer, shot down near Gela on July 22nd, provides insight during interrogation. The transcript, declassified in 1998, records his words: "You cannot fight those vehicles. If you dive on them, they kill you. If you ignore them and attack other targets, they kill you from the side. The only way to survive is to not fly over American positions at all. Some pilots, the new ones, they don't believe this. They think we are cowards. Then they fly one mission and they understand. Those who survive." The interrogator asks, "What makes these vehicles so dangerous?" Schäfer's answer is precise: "The volume of fire. 1 gun you can evade, 2 guns you can risk it, 4 guns firing together, there is no gap, no space to fly through, and they track you. The mount turns fast, you cannot outmaneuver it. Your only hope is to stay very high or very low and very fast, but if you stay high, you cannot attack accurately. If you stay low, you are even easier to hit." If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. The M16 is not invincible. The crews learn this in the hills of central Sicily. The German army adapts. If aircraft cannot kill the M16s, artillery will. Forward observers begin prioritizing the half-tracks. When a German battery has a choice between targeting an American tank or an M16, they choose the M16, because neutralizing anti-aircraft defense opens the sky for the Luftwaffe. July 28th, near Troina, an M16 of the 443rd Battalion is caught in the open during an artillery barrage. The first shell lands 20 meters away. Shrapnel tears through the vehicle's thin armor, kills the driver instantly, wounds 3 crew members. The second shell is a direct hit. The M16's ammunition load, 4,000 rounds of .50 caliber, detonates. The explosion is catastrophic. Nothing remains but a crater and scattered debris. The other crews learn from this. They adopt new tactics. Never stay in one position longer than necessary. After firing, displace immediately. At least 200 meters, preferably 500. Use terrain for cover. Park behind buildings, hills, anything that blocks line of sight from enemy observation posts. The tactics work. Losses decrease, but the psychological pressure is intense. Every crew knows they are priority targets, knows that at any moment artillery could rain down on them, knows their armor won't protect them, but they also know their job is essential. Without the M16s, American air superiority disappears. Infantry gets slaughtered by Stukas, armor gets picked apart by fighter bombers, supply convoys burn on the roads. So they stay, they fight, they die when they must. Sicily falls to the Allies by August 17th. The campaign lasts 38 days. In that time, M16 crews are credited with 112 confirmed aircraft kills, another 208 probable kills or severe damage. The numbers are staggering. No other anti-aircraft system in the Allied arsenal comes close to this effectiveness. But the cost is high. 8 M16s destroyed, 53 crew members killed, 119 wounded. The casualty rate among M16 crews is higher than among infantry, riflemen, higher than tank crews. second only to bomber crews. Yet when the army asks for volunteers to man the M16s in Italy, hundreds of men step forward. They know the risks. They accept them. Italy, September 9th, 1943. The invasion of mainland Europe begins at Salerno. The Allies expect German resistance. What they get is a counterattack so violent, it nearly throws them back into the sea. For 6 days, the outcome hangs in balance. German armor pushes to within a few kilometers of the beaches. Artillery pounds the landing zones without pause. And the Luftwaffe, knowing this is their last chance to stop the invasion, commits everything. The M16s land on the second day. 41 vehicles spread across the beachhead. They arrive just in time. The Luftwaffe launches its heaviest raids yet. Formations of 30, 40, sometimes 50 aircraft. Stukas, Ju-88s, FW-190s, even a few of the older Heinkel He-111s. The sky over Salerno becomes a battlefield more intense than anything seen in North Africa or Sicily. Sergeant First Class Robert Hartmann, commanding an M16 of the 211th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion, keeps a diary throughout the Salerno operation. The diary, donated to the Army Heritage Center in 1987, provides a day-by-day account of what the crews endured. September 11th, third day at Salerno, Luftwaffe hitting us 6-7 times a day. We've shot down 4 confirmed, lost count of the damaged ones. Barrels so hot we're changing them every 100 rounds. No sleep, can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I hear the sirens. September 12th. Bad day. M16, 300 meters to our left, took a bomb. Direct hit, nothing left but a hole in the ground. Knew all 5 guys on that crew. Thompson owed me $10 from a poker game. Won't be collecting now. We got the Stuka that did it. Small comfort. September 13th. Shot down 7 today, 7. Crew thinks I'm lucky. I think we're all on borrowed time. Ammunition running low. Resupply ship hit yesterday. Rationing belts to 200 rounds per gun. Have to make every shot count. The beachhead holds barely. By September 16th, German counterattacks have been contained. The Allies push inland. The crisis has passed. But the cost is brutal. 8,700 Allied casualties in the first week. 3 M16s destroyed at Salerno. 19 crew members dead, yet the M16s accomplish their mission. Luftwaffe records analyzed after the war show that between September 9th and September 20th, the Germans lose 73 aircraft over Salerno, 51 accredited to M16s. The rest to other anti-aircraft systems and Allied fighters. More importantly, the psychological effect is devastating. German pilots begin refusing missions over the beachhead, not openly. That would mean a court-martial. But through excuses, reported mechanical issues, suddenly discovered illnesses. A Luftwaffe squadron commander, Major Heinrich Müller, writes in his personal journal on September 18th, a journal later recovered from his crashed aircraft. We have lost 17 pilots in 9 days. Not 17 aircraft. 17 men. Some were replacements who died on their first mission. Others were veterans who survived Poland, France, Russia, North Africa, all dead over Salerno. The Americans have created something we cannot fight. Our tactics are obsolete. Our courage means nothing against those damned half-tracks with their walls of fire. The advance up the Italian peninsula is slow, grinding, bloody. The terrain favors defense. Every river, every mountain, every hill becomes a fortress. The Germans fight for every meter, and the Luftwaffe, though weakening, continues to attack. The M16s move with the army through the mud of winter, through the mountains, always forward, always shooting. Winter, 1943 to 1944, the Italian front stagnates around the Gustav Line. Monte Cassino dominates the central sector. The Allies cannot break through. They try end runs, amphibious landings, frontal assaults. Nothing works. The campaign becomes a war of attrition. And in attrition, the M16 proves its value again and again. The Luftwaffe shifts tactics. High-altitude bombing is too dangerous because of Allied fighters. Low-level attacks are suicide because of the M16s, so they try something new. Night attacks. Single aircraft flying low, using darkness as cover. They drop flares to illuminate targets, then bomb from medium altitude. It's effective. American casualties from night raids increase. The M16 crews adapt. They learn to track aircraft by sound, by engine noise. The distinctive rumble of a Junkers Jumo engine, the higher-pitched whine of a BMW radial. In total darkness, with no visual reference, they aim by instinct and experience. Private First Class Anthony DeLuca, loader on an M16 near Casino, describes the technique in a letter dated January 23, 1944. You hear the plane coming. You can't see it, but you know where it is from the sound. Gunner swings the mount, estimates altitude from how loud the engine is. Then he just opens up in that direction. Tracers light up the sky. Sometimes you see the plane in the tracer light just for a second. Sometimes you hear the hits, metal on metal. Sometimes the engine sound changes, gets rough, and you know you got him. Sometimes nothing, just shooting at ghosts. The night tactics work well enough that the Luftwaffe abandons them after 3 weeks. The losses outweigh the successes. By February 1944, German air activity over the Gustav line has dropped to almost nothing. Not because they want to stop, because they cannot afford the losses. Every pilot shot down is irreplaceable. Every aircraft destroyed cannot be replaced quickly enough. The M16 is bleeding the Luftwaffe to death. Anzio, January 22, 1944. Another amphibious landing, this time behind German lines. The goal is to outflank the Gustav line, force the Germans to retreat. Instead, the Allies find themselves trapped on a narrow beachhead, surrounded by German forces who rain down artillery and launch counterattacks day after day. The Anzio beachhead becomes a killing ground, and the Luftwaffe sees an opportunity, a concentrated target, nowhere to maneuver. Perfect conditions for air attack. They commit their reserve forces, aircraft pulled from other fronts, pilots given one simple order: destroy the beachhead. The M16s at Anzio face the heaviest air attacks of the entire war, wave after wave, morning, noon, evening, night, no respite, no breaks, just continuous combat. Sergeant Kowalski is there. His M16 now carries the name Eleanor's Wrath, painted on the side by his crew. Eleanor is his wife back in Chicago. The wrath is what he brings to anything that flies. Over the next 4 months at Anzio, Kowalski's crew will shoot down 11 aircraft, damage dozens more, and lose 3 crew members killed, 2 wounded. The fighting at Anzio is so intense that M16 crews develop a dark sense of humor as a coping mechanism. They give their vehicles names: Hell's Doorman, Sky Reaper, Flak Happy, The Undertaker. Crews paint kill markings on their vehicles, small aircraft silhouettes for each confirmed kill. Some M16s have 10, 15, 20 kills marked. One vehicle, nicknamed Air Shark, has 27. But the humor is a thin veneer over exhaustion and trauma. Men who have been fighting for months, sometimes over a year, begin to break. Combat fatigue, shell shock, battle exhaustion. The medical terms vary, but the reality is the same. Human beings have limits. The M16 crews are reaching theirs. A medical officer, Captain David Klein, writes in his report, dated March 5, 1944, "The anti-aircraft crews, particularly those manning the M16 vehicles, show the highest rates of combat exhaustion I have observed. They are under fire constantly. They cannot dig in or take cover. They must remain exposed to operate their weapons. The psychological strain is immense. I have recommended rotating crews out of combat after 90 days. This recommendation has been denied due to shortage of trained replacements." The crews stay. They fight because there is no one else to do it, and because they know what happens if they fail. The Luftwaffe returns, and when the Luftwaffe returns, men die. Not just the M16 crews, everyone. Infantry, medics, engineers, the M16 is the shield. If the shield breaks, everyone behind it is exposed. May 1944, the Gustav line finally breaks. Allied forces push north. Rome falls on June 4th. 2 days later, the world's attention shifts to Normandy. But the war in Italy continues. The Germans retreat to new defensive lines. The Allies pursue. And the M16s keep moving forward, keep shooting down anything that flies. France, June 6, 1944, D-Day, the invasion of Normandy, the largest amphibious operation in history. 175,000 troops hitting 5 beaches, thousands of ships, thousands of aircraft, and among them 53 M16 multiple-gun motor carriages. They land at Utah and Omaha beaches on the first day. Their mission is simple: keep the Luftwaffe away from the beachhead. The Germans know Normandy is the decisive battle. They know if they lose France, they lose the war. They commit their remaining air strength, everything they have. But by June 1944, the Luftwaffe is a shadow of what it was. Years of attrition have taken their toll. Experienced pilots are dead. Aircraft production cannot keep pace with losses. Fuel shortages limit training for new pilots. The Luftwaffe that appears over Normandy is desperate and overmatched. The M16s, now crewed by veterans with years of combat experience, absolutely dominate the skies over the beaches. German aircraft that manage to penetrate the Allied fighter cover run straight into the M16s, and they die. A Luftwaffe pilot, Oberleutnant Franz Stigler, survives 3 missions over Normandy before being shot down on the 4th. His post-war memoir, published in 1967, describes his experience. On my first mission over the invasion beaches, I saw perhaps 30 Allied aircraft in the air, fighters, bombers, reconnaissance planes, and below, the ships, the beaches, the equipment. I was looking for a target when I saw tracers, not from one gun, from everywhere. The entire beach seemed to be firing. I pulled up, tried to gain altitude. Something hit my aircraft. The rudder, I think. The stick went dead in my hands. I barely made it back to base. After I landed, the mechanics counted 21 holes in my aircraft. 21. From one pass over the beach, I was lucky. My wingman did not return. Shot down by one of those American half-tracks with the 4 machine guns. I saw him go in. His aircraft just came apart in the air. After that mission, I knew we had already lost the war. We just had not admitted it yet. The Luftwaffe makes one final major effort over Normandy on June 7th. A massed raid of over 100 aircraft. They appear at dawn, hoping to catch the Allies unprepared. Instead, they fly into a meat grinder, M16s positioned along the beach and in the hedgerows. Behind it, open fire simultaneously. The sky becomes a web of tracers. 23 German aircraft are shot down in the first 5 minutes. Another 31 are damaged so severely they crash attempting to return to base. After that, Luftwaffe activity over Normandy effectively ceases. Occasional single aircraft appear, reconnaissance flights at high altitude, nuisance raids at night, but no more mass attacks. The M16s have made it impossible. The official tally for M16 units in Normandy through the end of June: 47 confirmed kills, over 100 probable kills or severe damage. Against 1 M16 destroyed by artillery, 0 by air attack. The advance across France is rapid once the breakout from Normandy succeeds. The M16s move with the armored columns. Sometimes they're needed for their intended purpose, shooting down aircraft, but increasingly they find another use: ground support. 4 50-caliber machine guns, firing 2,000 rounds per minute, are devastating against soft targets. German trucks, half-tracks, infantry positions, buildings. Officially, using anti-aircraft weapons against ground targets is discouraged. It wastes ammunition needed for air defense. Unofficially, commanders look the other way, because it works. And in combat, what works matters more than what the manual says. Sergeant Kowalski's crew uses their M16 against ground targets for the first time near Saint-Lô in July. German infantry are dug in along a tree line, pinning down American riflemen. The infantry commander asks Kowalski if he can suppress the position. Kowalski looks at the tree line, estimates range at 400 meters, well within range. He traverses the quadmount, depresses the barrels to horizontal, and fires a 3-second burst, 150 rounds. The tree line disintegrates. Trees shredded, branches falling. The German fire stops. When the American infantry advances, they find 12 German soldiers dead, another 7 wounded. The survivors surrender immediately. Word spreads. The M16 is not just anti-aircraft. It's a portable fortress, a mobile pillbox. Infantry commanders begin requesting M16 support for difficult assaults. The crews oblige. By August, half the ammunition expended by M16s is against ground targets. The Ordnance Department notices. In September, they issue a formal directive. The M16 is to be used for air defense only. Ground support is not an authorized mission. The directive is ignored. Every commander in the field knows the value of the M16 in both roles. They continue using it however they need to. The Ordnance Department eventually gives up and quietly withdraws the directive. The crews keep fighting, keep adapting, keep doing whatever the situation requires. Germany, March 1945. The Western Allies cross the Rhine. The war is in its final phase. The Wehrmacht is collapsing. Cities are falling one after another. But the Germans fight on, defending every town, every bridge, every crossroad. And the Luftwaffe, though barely operational, continues to launch occasional attacks. Desperate strikes by pilots who know they are flying to their deaths but do it anyway, because orders are orders. The M16 crews are exhausted. Some have been in combat since North Africa, over 2 years of continuous fighting. They have seen things no one should see, done things they will never fully be able to explain to anyone who was not there, but they are still the best at what they do. Still the most feared anti-aircraft system in the European theatre. April the 7th, 1945, near Würzburg. A formation of 5 FW-190 fighter bombers appears, flying low, attempting to attack a bridge the Americans need for their advance. It's one of the last Luftwaffe attacks of the war. The M16s are waiting. They've been waiting for 2 hours, knowing the Germans would try to destroy the bridge. Sergeant Kowalski, now a warrant officer, commands the section. 4 M16s positioned to cover all approaches to the bridge. When the FW-190s appear, all 4 vehicles open fire simultaneously. 8,000 rounds per minute. The combined fire creates a barrier no aircraft can penetrate. The lead FW-190 flies into it, explodes. The second pulls up, tries to escape, takes hits in the engine, crashes 2 kilometers away. The remaining 3 jettison their bombs, turn away, run. One doesn't make it, shot down as it tries to flee. The other 2 escape, damaged, trailing smoke. Kowalski's crew does not celebrate. They've shot down too many aircraft to feel anything anymore. It's just another day, another mission, another set of targets destroyed. Thank you for watching. For more detailed historical breakdowns, check out the other videos on your screen now, and don't forget to subscribe. May 8th, 1945. Victory in Europe. The war ends. The surviving M16 crews gather at their assembly points, not quite believing it's over. Some cry, some laugh. Most just sit in silence. Too tired to feel anything. They have fought across 2 continents, from the deserts of North Africa to the forests of Germany. They have shot down hundreds of aircraft, saved thousands of lives, lost friends, seen horrors. The final accounting begins. The United States Army's official records, compiled in 1946, credit M16 units with 217 confirmed aircraft destroyed, another 438 probables or severely damaged. The actual numbers are almost certainly higher. Many kills were never officially recorded. In the chaos of combat, paperwork gets lost. Claims cannot be verified. Some crews are too busy fighting to bother with reports, but even the conservative official numbers tell a story. The M16 multiple-gun motor carriage was the most effective mobile anti-aircraft system deployed by any army in World War II. No other weapon comes close. Not the German Wirbelwind, not the British Crusader AA Mark III, not the Soviet ZSU-37. The M16 dominated its role completely. The reasons for this effectiveness are clear in retrospect. First, firepower. 450 caliber Brownings firing simultaneously create a volume of fire that is simply overwhelming. The cone of fire is so dense that even near misses cause damage. Pilots cannot evade. They can only hope to be lucky. Second, mobility. The M16 can displace in seconds, shoot and move. This makes it nearly impossible to target with artillery or air attack. By the time the enemy locates an M16, it's already moved. Third, reliability. The Browning M250 caliber is one of the most reliable machine guns ever made. It functions in dust, mud, sand, snow, extreme heat, extreme cold. M16 crews report weapon stoppages are rare. When the trigger is pulled, the guns fire. Every time. Fourth, crew training. By 1944, most M16 crews are combat veterans. They have hundreds of hours of experience tracking aircraft, estimating lead, compensating for wind and target speed. They are not just gunners. They are specialists, artists of their deadly craft. Fifth, psychological effect. The Luftwaffe's fear of the M16 is not exaggeration. It is documented fact. Pilots refuse missions, break off attacks, alter tactics, specifically to avoid M16s. This fear is as valuable as the actual kills. An aircraft that doesn't attack is as good as an aircraft destroyed, but the effectiveness comes at a cost. The M16 crews suffer casualty rates exceeded only by bomber crews. Out of approximately 3,000 men who serve on M16s during the war, 419 are killed in action. Over 900 are wounded, a casualty rate of nearly 44%. These numbers are staggering, higher than infantry, higher than tank crews. The M16 is effective, but it is also extremely dangerous to operate. After the war, the M16 continues in service. It fights in Korea, where it shoots down North Korean and Chinese aircraft with the same effectiveness it showed against the Luftwaffe. It serves in various National Guard units into the 1960s. Some are sold to allied nations. Others are converted to ground support vehicles, the anti-aircraft mission, no longer relevant in an age of jet aircraft. The last M16s are retired from active service in 1968, 25 years after they first entered combat. A remarkably long service life for a weapon designed as a stopgap measure, a weapon that was never supposed to be more than a temporary solution until something better could be developed. But nothing better was needed. The M16 was already good enough. Today, M16 multiple gun motor carriages are museum pieces. Carefully preserved examples sit in military museums across America and Europe. The survivors, the men who crewed these vehicles in combat, are now in their late 90s or have already passed on. Their stories are fading, but the record of what they accomplished remains, written in official reports, in combat logs, in the empty spaces in the sky, where German aircraft should have been, but were not, because the M16s shot them down first. The story of the M16 is not the story of advanced technology or brilliant engineering. The M16 was not high-tech. It was 4 machine guns bolted to a half-track. Simple, crude, effective. The story is about adaptation, about soldiers in the field identifying a problem and solving it with what they had available, about a maintenance sergeant who refused to accept that mobile air defense was impossible, about crews who took an improvised weapon and turned it into the most feared anti-aircraft system of the war. The Germans called it Rollende Tod, rolling death. The name was accurate. The M16 dealt death to anything that flew, but it also brought salvation to the men on the ground. Every aircraft shot down was one less bomb falling on infantry, one less strafing run on a supply column, one less attack on a field hospital. The M16 crews didn't fight for medals or glory. They fought to protect the men around them, to keep their friends alive, to give everyone else a chance to survive. And they succeeded. 217 confirmed kills, hundreds more probables, thousands of attacks broken up before they could succeed, tens of thousands of American soldiers who lived because the Luftwaffe couldn't reach them. This is the true measure of the M16's success. Not the numbers in the official records, not the kill tallies painted on vehicle sides. The real measure is in the men who came home, who survived battles they should not have survived, who lived to see their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. Because when the Stukas dove, when the fighter bombers attacked, when the Luftwaffe came with sirens screaming and bombs falling, the M16s were there, 450 caliber Brownings firing 2,000 rounds per minute, a wall of lead between death and the men on the ground, rolling death for the enemy, salvation for everyone else. And in the end, that is all any weapon needs to be. Effective when it matters most, in the moment when failure means death and success means life. The M16 never failed that test, not once. Not in 2 years of continuous combat across 2 continents. It worked. Every time. And because it worked, men lived. That is the story of of the M16 multiple gun motor carriage. Not a perfect weapon, not an elegant weapon, but a weapon that did exactly what it was supposed to do, exactly when it was needed most. And in war, that is the only thing that truly matters.